Hey yo, thanks for tuning in to Celeb Source. It's the backup channel backing Celeb up and bringing you all the breaking news. The other night, comedian Jared Carmichael hosted the 80th Annual Golden Globe Awards, and during his opening monologue, he made a joke about Whitney Houston, and while he may have thought that the joke was comedy gold, many people in the audience and some of the viewers at home were not feeling it because they felt he violated Whitney. Carmichael referenced Whitney Houston's tragic death when he was highlighting the fact that the venue holding the Golden Globe Awards just so happened to be the same hotel where Whitney was found dead in the bathtub in 2012. Well, Gerard Carmichael decided that he was going to seize on the moment. So he said, quote, "They wanted me to shout out the venue that we're in, so we're here live from the hotel that killed Whitney Houston, the Beverly Hilton. So that's very exciting," end quote. As soon as Gerard Carmichael finished making that joke, people on Twitter went to Twittering, and one person wrote, quote, "Unacceptable, hashtag Golden Globes, poor taste of comedy, man, hashtag Jared Carmichael, hashtag Whitney Houston," end quote. Another person came through and was like, quote, "You dusty, ashy, bee-made bastard, F you, Jared Carmichael, hashtag Golden Globes," end quote. I gotta tell you, when you go on like the serious rant and then you actually take the time to put like the hashtag Golden Globes at the end, it dilutes the power of the rant. But look, I'm not even gonna get into that. Back to the story. Another person came through and wrote, quote, "That was nasty and vile. Whitney's death is nothing to joke about. Gerard, whoever, needs to be stoned," end quote. Dang. We stoning people now? That's how it is? Listen, it wasn't all bad for Gerard Carmichael because one person came through and wrote, quote, "It's always interesting to see what people take offense with. Gerard Carmichael's Whitney joke was not a jab at Whitney. It was at the Beverly Hilton. There's a lot of suspected foul play in what happened, but y'all be so eager to put black men against black women," end quote. Well, after the Golden Globes aired, Whitney Houston's estate also released a statement through TMZ, and they said, quote, "The Whitney Houston estate is disappointed in the joke and felt it was in very poor taste," end quote. Look, I'm not the joke umpire, so I don't know whether Gerard Carmichael's joke was a strike or a foul. However, it is apparent that Hollywood is trying to pitch us their next magical Negro comedian, and Gerard Carmichael's joke might have been a swing and a miss. If Gerard Carmichael expects to reach Eddie Murphy status, Chris Rock status, Kevin Hart status, or Dave Chappelle status, he's gonna have to learn how to play the game. Listen, I like Gerard Carmichael. He had a cute little show. It was funny. I enjoyed it, right? But where Gerard Carmichael lost me is when he showed up to the Emmys with the white chinchilla on with no shirt. Listen, if you're gonna do chinchilla, you gotta either do chinchilla with shirt or shirt with no chinchilla, but you cannot do chinchilla with no shirt. Now, as you know, Keith Murray has been trending. I mean, he got in a time machine and he came straight out of the 90s into 2023. And he's been talking about all his sexual exploits with people like Chicago rapper Shauna, Corinne Superhead Steffens, and Foxy Brown. Well, now Keith, most beautifulest thing in the world, Murray is back, and this time he's going after P. Diddy because he says that P. Diddy stole all of his dough from publishing back in the day. Keith Murray said that he was mad young and naive when he first started working with Puff, and Puff took advantage of that naivete. While on the Art of the Dialogue podcast, Keith Murray recalled one particular incident when he was called to feature on G-Dep's 2001 track, Special Delivery, the Remix. Murray alleges that after he rocked the mic in the studio, Puff hit him off with a check for $5,000 for payment for the rights to his verse, and that was that. He never saw any more dough related to that song again because Puff ran with the bag. Murray said, quote, They call me, yo, Murray, come to the studio and do the song. I wrote my ish first, and the track masters did the beat, and then Herv come, yo, Puffy wanna buy the publishing. Back then, I don't know about buying publishing. Ninja gave me $5,000 for publishing. I took the check, and I went and I bought a Rolex from the Diamond District. The song was a single, then there was a video, then it was poppin'. Now the ish come on to this day. End quote. Keith Murray went on to say that while P. Diddy was always doing that shady business, Eric Sermon was always on the up and up. Keith said, quote, Eric Sermon was like, yo, your publishing is important. He gave me and Redman our publishing. He never messed with our intellectual property for monetary gain. That's one thing the boss always gave us and showed us. End quote. After that, Keith Murray went on to say that he wants Puff Daddy to give him his publishing back so he can give it to his kids so they can have some long-term wealth in the future. Murray said, quote, yo, Puff, I want my publishing to put in Madison and Dolly name. My kids Madison and Milan because Dolly don't need it. Puff, sign this paperwork. I want my publishing. Puff, it's my publishing and I want it now. It's my money and I want it now. End quote. Look, I know how Puff gets down. Not gonna tell you how, but I do know how Puff gets down. And Puff has allegedly been doing dirty deals since he was over there at Howard University throwing homecoming parties back in the day, okay? But here's the thing though, right? If Puff paid you $5,000 for your publishing, and you took the $5,000, then technically Puff doesn't owe you a thing. That's like me coming up to your door and being like, listen, I'll give you $10,000 for your house and you sell me the house for $10,000. Then after you do it, you regret it because you realize your house was worth $500,000. In that instance, you're the dodo, not me, and you gets no dough, you dodo. Now here's a little piece of free advice for all of you artists like Keith Murray and Mason Betta who swear that the bad boy owes you some money. If you want to get your dough, you better take him to court. You better dial 1-800-LAWYER because unless you do that, he's not giving you nothing. He's not cutting no checks and he's not giving you no cash. Hey yo, check it out. As you know, Boosie Badass has dropped his new movie, Where is MJ? And as a surprise to his fans, he cast Flavor Flav in the role to play his father. Boosie Badass says that he's always being mistaken for Flavor Flav. He said that once he was in the airport and he was like, quote, I was just in the effing airport and a lady gonna be talking about Flavor Flav. I don't look like no damn Flavor Flav. I look like Boosie. That's why I don't wear these darn red glasses. It's too early in the morning for that ish. Flav, you can't F with me, man. End quote. Whether Boosie wants to admit it or not, he does look a lot like Flavor Flav, and I actually commend him for giving Flav the part in his movie. And even though I wasn't thinking about watching the movie, now I kinda want to see the movie. Kudos to Boosie. On to the next story. Wiz Khalifa has a message that he wants to share with all of you reformed weed smokers. Wiz Khalifa said, quote, if you smoke weed for the majority of your life and you just stop smoking weed, don't try to convince everybody that your life has changed so much because you quit smoking weed. It don't happen that fast. It happened in about 15 years when the effects really kick in. A year, a couple of days, a few months, that ain't long enough to see no progress. If you wasn't getting ish done off of weed, it's probably because you just don't know how to get ish done. People eat too much and they get fat. You gotta know how to moderate that ish. So 15 years, if you smoke weed 10, 15 years, tap in 15 years later if you not smoking weed and then make a video. End quote. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like somebody must have told Wiz Khalifa he needed to stop smoking weed. Because Wiz is feeling some sort of way. Although I can't speak about weed because I don't smoke weed, I can say I'm feeling Wiz on this because it seems like as soon as somebody changes their life, right? Let's say they become a vegan. All of a sudden they're looking at you while you're eating a piece of chicken and they're like, you know, chicken's not good for you. And it's always that same person who was at KFC like 2 weeks ago eating a whole 20-piece bucket. Or it's that person, they just started a diet like 3 weeks ago and every time you go to pick up a piece of food, they're monitoring what you're eating. You go to put a glazed donut in your mouth and they're looking at you talking about, you know, glazed donuts are not good for you. Listen, that's your diet. You pay attention to what you're putting in your mouth. Don't be over there trying to count my calories. Look, I'm all for making healthy choices, but you gotta understand, if you're the person who's decided to change your life and to become more healthy, you cannot become the health police for everybody else. You have to allow people to make decisions on their own time. Even though you can be supportive and you can help them move in the right direction, you can't force your belief system or your choices on anybody else. Just think about Jesus. Jesus was a very effective teacher who drew mad people to the gospel, but it's not because he forced his belief system onto people, it's because he led by example. Now, if your family member's smoking crack or they only have one tooth left because of the meth, then you want to force your opinion on them and you want to tell them to stop doing that crack over and over again, because that, my friend, is a whole different story. And when we're talking about stories, I gotta circle all the way back to the beginning again when I was talking about the Golden Globes, because a new piece of news has just come in. As you already know, when Eddie Murphy was accepting his Golden Globe Award the other night, he made a joke. Eddie Murphy said, quote, "To all the new up-and-coming dreamers and artists in the room tonight, I want to let you know that there is a definitive blueprint that you can use to achieve success, prosperity, longevity, and peace of mind. 3 factors are key. 1, pay your taxes. 2, mind your business. 3, keep Will Smith's wife's name out your MFing mouth." End quote. Well, after Eddie Murphy made that joke, mad people tried to come for Eddie, and they were like, yo, that joke was mad lame, that joke was mad old, yo, Eddie ain't need to go there because, it's just one black man trying to downplay some other black man. We trying to move on from what Will Smith did when he smacked Chris Rock upside the head at the Oscars, and he trying to keep us back. It's 2023, and Eddie Murphy out here still making jokes about 2022. Well, in response to Eddie Murphy's joke, Tyrese Gibson was sitting there and he was like, absolutely not. I cannot let Eddie Murphy get away with this. And he decided that he was going to come online and he was going to defend his good pal, Will Smith. Tyrese said, quote, "I'm still Team Will Smith. There's nobody on this earth that will ever influence me to ever have a change of heart towards the biggest influence in my life. I'm just saying, move on already. I just watched Emancipation for the 3rd time. I just can't believe how masterful this overall movie is." End quote. Okay, I already know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Sauce, we already know this already. You're not giving us any new news. Well, here is the new part. Ray J heard what Tyrese Gibson said, and Ray J was fuming. And Ray J was like, there's no way I'm gonna let Tyrese Gibson get away with making a statement like that. And Ray J came out and he issued his own subtle, veiled threat. Ray J said, quote, "Tyrese better mind his own biz. You not on Eddie level. To think you can tell Axel Foley or Hakeem the Prince of Zamuda to move on already? He's #1 in this acting campaign still to this day. Real legend. You better show some respect, Tyrese, before Will slap you back into your reality. Yeah, I said it. You know how I feel about you and your antics. Don't play with my mentors. It won't end well." End quote. Wow, is there some secret R&B beef between Ray J and Tyrese that I don't know about? If there is, let me know what it is in the comments. But aside from that, as far as Eddie Murphy's comments are concerned, #1, I don't think that Tyrese needed to jump in to defend Will Smith. Will Smith is a grown man, okay? 2, Eddie really doesn't care. Eddie is on a different level than all of these dudes. And then 3, I'm sure that Eddie Murphy has got to be one of Will Smith's role models or idols or something. It's like we have short-term memory nowadays. You gotta know, had Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor not done what they did back in the day to pave the way, a whole bunch of these young guys would not be able to do what they're doing today. And we're not just talking about in the field of comedy. Eddie Murphy broke down barriers in all types of fields. Listen, had Eddie Murphy not got on stage in that tight leather suit and said, "I got some ice cream and you can have none," a whole bunch of y'all wouldn't be iced out today. You got what you got today because Eddie Murphy did what he did yesterday. And Eddie Murphy is the reason why all of these little modern day comedians, when they get on stage to do their big shows, they put on some leather, They put that leather on for good luck because they want all of the same success that Eddie Murphy had when he did Raw. Almost 40 years later, and these comedians out here still rocking the leather. I don't even think that changed until like Dave Chappelle came out with the onesie. Listen, since Tyrese Gibson wants to be out in these streets picking and choosing sides, I'm gonna pick and choose a side too. On this one, I'm gonna side with my man Ray J, because we gotta give our man Eddie Murphy his props. Eddie Murphy has had a very long and illustrious career, and Eddie Murphy has done his thing, and he has definitely contributed to the culture. Thank you, Eddie Murphy. Hey, yo, thanks for tuning in to Celeb Source, your source for celebrity news. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Peace.